Dear soul, I come to you today with a message that could change everything. I've waited for the right moment to whisper these words into your heart, and now the time has come. From the heavens I bring light, clarity, and truth, because there's something you must hear today. Please, listen until the very end. Not only because what I'm about to tell you carries the power to shift your entire perspective, but because if you walk away too soon, you may never uncover the truth that your soul has been waiting for. The title of this message is not just a phrase. She went away, but there is something you need to know, and I'm here to reveal exactly what that something is, because what seemed like an ending was never truly the end. When she left, it felt like everything fell apart, like the door closed, and there would be no turning back. Maybe you've replayed that moment in your mind 1,000 times, trying to understand what happened, what changed, what was lost. And maybe, just maybe, you started to believe that she simply gave up, that she stopped caring, that the silence was her answer. But I'm here to tell you, the heavens see what your eyes couldn't, and they've heard what your heart couldn't grasp. There's more to her decision than what you were shown. So much more. And unless you hear this message through, you may never know the full truth that has been waiting to reach you. I ask you now, dear soul, if these words already stir something within you, let your heart speak. Write Amen as a sign of your openness, your willingness to receive what's coming, because what lies ahead isn't just a message, it's a revelation, a truth wrapped in love, silence, and longing. She went away, yes, but not in the way you think. And now, the truth begins to unfold. Dear soul, now that your heart is open and you're ready to receive, I must take you deeper into the space that was left behind when she walked away. Because her departure wasn't just a moment in time. It was a wound that echoed through every part of your being. And even now, whether you speak of it or keep it hidden, that ache still lingers, doesn't it? When she left, it was like the light dimmed just a little. You felt the shift, the cold, unfamiliar emptiness that replaced what used to be warmth, laughter, connection. Maybe you told yourself that it was for the best, that it had to happen, or that things had reached their natural end. But deep down, something inside of you never fully accepted it. There were too many unanswered questions, too many things left unsaid, too many feelings that were never explained. And this is where I, as your guardian, must begin to bring light into that darkness. You see, she didn't leave in silence because she no longer cared. She didn't disappear because her love faded. The truth is far more delicate and far more powerful than that. She carried with her a heart full of words that never made it past her lips. There were things she wanted to say, so badly, but something always stopped her. Fear, confusion, guilt, maybe even a sense that she wasn't worthy of being loved the way you loved her. So many nights she sat in silence, replaying every shared moment. She remembered the sound of your voice, the way your presence made her feel safe. And yet, instead of running toward you with that truth, she stepped away. Why? Because sometimes, dear soul, the ones who love the most are also the ones who run the furthest. Not because they want to lose you, but because they don't believe they're strong enough to keep you. I know you've wondered if it was your fault, if there was something you missed, something you failed to do or say, and I want you to release yourself from that weight. Because the truth is, her silence was never a reflection of your value. It was a reflection of her own hidden battles, battles you couldn't see, battles she never allowed anyone to witness. The day she left, she took more than just her presence. She took questions, hopes, dreams, unfinished pieces of a story that was meant to continue. And ever since, you've been standing in that pause, haven't you? Caught between what was and what could have been, wondering if the chapter is closed or if the book is still waiting to be reopened. I need you to know this, and I need you to hear it clearly. She didn't walk away without looking back. Even as she walked forward, part of her heart stayed exactly where you are. That part of her still hasn't moved on. Not really. There's a reason this message is reaching you now. The heavens are shifting. Something is being stirred in the spiritual realm, and it's not random. You've been holding on to this pain, and she's been carrying a silence that is no longer meant to remain. This message is the beginning of something deeper, a reconnection, not just to her, but to the truth that was buried beneath her goodbye. You were never forgotten. You were never unloved. She simply didn't know how to carry everything she felt and still stay. And the silence she left behind, it wasn't emptiness. It was full of everything she couldn't say out loud. There were nights she cried thinking of you. Days she smiled at the memory of something you once said. Moments where she reached for her phone, just to type your name, only to delete it again. She left, yes, but she never stopped feeling, never stopped remembering, and most importantly, she never stopped loving. And now, dear soul, the veil is lifting, slowly, softly, and with it, the truth is coming to you. The truth that her heart has always belonged to you, even if she didn't have the words to say it, even if she chose distance over vulnerability, even if she wore strength like armor while her heart begged for you in silence. But there is more, so much more. And if you feel the stir in your soul right now, that's not a coincidence. That's the alignment beginning to unfold. That's your spirit recognizing what your mind has long tried to silence. And so, I ask you again, stay with me. The next part of this message carries something you've been waiting to hear for a long time. You may not even realize just how much you've needed it. But once you hear it, everything will begin to make sense. She took the silence with her, but she also left behind a key that unlocks the real reason she had to walk away. And you're just about to find it. Will you continue with me? Because if you do, I promise, the truth will no longer hide in the shadows. It will finally be yours. And before we continue with this very special message, I invite you to support this space of connection. Become a member of the channel. And if you feel this message is touching your heart, don't forget to click on "Thanks" below the video. This helps us continue bringing messages full of love and hope like this one. Now, let's move on to what matters most. Dear soul, now that you've opened your heart to receive this truth, I need to take you to a place that she never let you see. A hidden space deep within her being, where emotions were locked away behind walls built from fear, pain, and uncertainty. Because while her silence was loud, what you didn't hear were the words she longed to say, the words that burned within her, but that she never found the courage to speak aloud. You see, love, real, deep, soul-level love, can sometimes be terrifying. And for her, loving you was the most beautiful and most overwhelming thing she had ever experienced. It wasn't that she didn't want to express what was in her heart. It's that she didn't believe she was allowed to. Somewhere along her journey, she learned to quiet her feelings, to silence her voice, to retreat rather than risk being fully seen. And so, every "I love you" that wanted to rise within her, she swallowed it. Every longing glance, every ache of desire to be near you, she buried it. There were moments, I promise you, when she looked at you and thought, "How do I even deserve this?" And instead of leaning in, she pulled away. Not because her heart was empty, but because it was too full of feelings she didn't know how to handle, too full of fears that she might ruin something so sacred. She was taught, by life, by wounds, by voices from her past, that vulnerability is weakness, that love fades, that people leave, and so she tried to protect herself. But in doing so, she ended up protecting herself from the very thing her soul craved most. You. There were nights she laid awake thinking of you. Her heart wanted to reach out, but her hands froze. Her mind would write entire messages to you, playing out conversations in her imagination, only to delete every word before it could ever leave her lips. She convinced herself that staying quiet would somehow protect you from her own chaos. That silence was safer than confession. That leaving would cause less harm than letting you see her break. But none of that was true. The truth is, she loved you, in her own way, in her own rhythm, in her own language of glances, gestures, and moments of stillness. But she thought you'd never understand. She feared that if she spoke the truth, it would open doors to parts of her that even she hadn't fully explored. And what if you didn't want to stay once you saw them? This fear ruled her, and so, she said nothing. She left with her heart half open and her mouth fully closed. But I'm here now, dear soul, to tell you what she couldn't. She didn't stop loving you. Not then, not now, not ever. The day she walked away, she wasn't walking away from you. She was walking away from her own fear of being too much, of not being enough, of ruining something pure. She believed she was protecting the love by stepping aside. But what she didn't realize was that the love never needed protection. It needed truth. And that truth is now coming to you, wrapped in this message, whispered by me, your guardian. She wanted to say, I'm scared, but I love you. I don't know how to do this perfectly, but I want to try. I feel things for you that I've never felt before, and that both excites and terrifies me. But she never said those things. Instead, she waited for the right moment. And when it never came, she told herself you were better off not knowing. But I tell you now, from the heavens above, she regrets that silence. She carries that regret with her every day. And there's a reason your soul feels unsettled. It's because those words are still echoing in the spiritual space between you two, waiting to be received, waiting to be heard. You were never meant to be left in the dark. And now, the light is breaking through. You deserve to know how deeply you were loved. Not in the way of fairy tales or fleeting romances, but in the quiet, complicated, powerful way that only two connected souls can experience. You moved her. You changed her. You awakened something inside her that she didn't know existed. And even though she left, that part of her still beats for you. The silence wasn't rejection. It was fear. The distance wasn't detachment. It was longing without a voice. And the goodbye, it wasn't final. It was a pause in a conversation that was never meant to end. There is so much more you haven't heard yet. So much more she's held within her, praying that somehow, some way, it would find its way to you. And that's why I'm here. That's why this message is unfolding now. Because it's time for you to know what your heart always suspected. You were loved in silence. But now, that silence is breaking. Her truth is coming. Her heart is speaking through me. But dear soul, this is not the end of what you need to know. There is something even more powerful than words she never spoke. There is a memory she never forgot. One that holds the key to everything. And in the next part of this message, I will show you what that memory is, and why it still connects you, even now. Stay with me. What's coming next will bring clarity you've longed for, and healing you didn't know was possible. Dear soul, now that you've begun to see the truth she couldn't speak, it's time to open a door she thought would remain closed forever. A door filled with the memories she never let go of. Because no matter how far she walked, no matter how silent she became, her heart never released what you two lived together. And those memories, though buried behind her silence, are alive. They breathe. They echo through her even now. You may not know this, but the moments you thought were small, simple, or forgotten, they are the very moments she replays when no one is watching. Do you remember the way she looked at you when you weren't looking? She does. Do you remember the way your hands found each other naturally, without words? She does. Do you remember the way you laughed together, as if nothing else in the world existed? She remembers it more than she remembers her own name on the days she feels lost. Her mind has stored every detail of your connection, not as distant nostalgia, but as a living part of her soul. There were days she smiled just because a memory of you floated to the surface. There were nights she cried because she could feel the absence of your voice so loudly it felt like thunder. She still remembers how your energy felt near hers, how your presence gave her a sense of peace she couldn't find anywhere else. You see, dear soul, she tried to move on. She tried to silence those memories, to convince herself that time would erase them, that other distractions could replace what you gave her. But she quickly learned, some memories are eternal. They do not fade. They become part of who we are. And you, yes you, became part of her. One memory, in particular, keeps returning to her. A day you may not even remember in detail. It wasn't a holiday or a grand occasion. It was just a normal day, a simple moment. But to her, it was everything. Maybe it was the way you looked at her when she felt insecure, or the way you held her hand just a little tighter when she was doubting everything. Maybe it was the way you listened, truly listened, when she opened up about something vulnerable. Whatever it was, that moment anchored itself into her soul like a lighthouse in a storm. That memory became her secret place. When the world around her felt too loud, too cold, too uncertain, she went there, back to that one moment that reminded her she was loved. Fully, genuinely, unconditionally. And even now, long after your paths diverged, she still returns to it. She still finds comfort there. Because it's the one place that never judged her, never asked her to be someone else. It's where your energy lives, untouched by time or distance. There's a reason the heavens chose to bring this memory back to you now. because within it lies a truth even she doesn't fully understand. That what was shared between you two wasn't just romance, it was soul connection. It was something eternal, something chosen long before this life, and something that will echo long after. The reason those memories still live in her is because they were never meant to die. And the reason you're hearing this now is because your soul still vibrates at the same frequency as hers. That connection, it hasn't broken. It has only been waiting. She has tried to live without them. She has tried to write a new story, but every new chapter ends up bringing her back to the same page, where your name is written in invisible ink, where your presence lingers even when you're not there, where your love keeps knocking on her heart, asking, "Have you truly forgotten?" And no, she hasn't. She never could. There's a tenderness in those memories that no one else could ever replicate, a gentleness in the way you saw her, even when she couldn't see herself, a calmness in the way you stood beside her, even when she was falling apart. And whether she told you or not, those are the things that saved her more than once. You were her safe place, dear soul, even if she didn't say it, even if she pushed you away, even if she convinced herself that leaving was the right thing to do. But now, she's remembering, and with each memory, her heart is speaking louder. And here, in this message, I am giving voice to the emotions she never shared. I need you to know something sacred. When a memory continues to return with such clarity, such emotion, such weight, it's not just the past visiting, it's the soul calling, and her soul is still calling yours. You've been feeling it too, haven't you? That unexpected moment when her face flashes in your mind, that random song that plays and brings a tear to your eye, that dream you had of her, the one that felt more real than any waking moment. That's not coincidence. That's not imagination. That's connection. That's memory becoming message. And now, dear soul, there is more to be revealed, because within those memories lies a reason, a purpose, a hidden thread that explains why things unfolded the way they did, and why, even now, the heavens have not let this connection dissolve. But before we uncover that truth, I want you to do something with me. Breathe. Let yourself feel her again. Not the pain, not the absence, but the love, the real love, the sacred love. Because what comes next will show you that her leaving wasn't what it seemed, that her silence was hiding something deeper, and that the love she still holds for you has been waiting for this exact moment to return. Stay with me, dear soul. The truth behind her decision is about to be revealed, and when you hear it, everything will finally begin to make sense. Dear soul, you've felt the echoes of her love in silence. You've walked through the chambers of memory, guided by the truth that her heart never truly let go. And now, we arrive at a turning point. This is the moment where what was hidden begins to reveal itself. You are ready to hear what has never been spoken, and I, as your guardian, am here to bring it to light. You must listen with your heart wide open, because the truth may not be what you expected, but it will explain everything. She didn't leave because she stopped loving you. That was never the reason. In fact, her love was so deep, so overwhelming, that it became the very thing she feared most. There are people who run from pain, and there are others who run from love, not because they don't want it, but because they fear they won't know how to hold it without breaking it. She was one of those souls. You see, she didn't feel strong enough to carry the weight of what you offered. You loved her in a way that made her feel seen, known, and cherished. But somewhere inside her, there was a voice, planted by past wounds, by disappointments, by moments where she was made to feel unworthy, that told her she could never sustain that kind of love. She feared she would eventually disappoint you. She feared that if she stayed, you would one day see through her, see her flaws, and walk away. So she left first. Yes, it was a decision she made, but it was not made from clarity. It was made from fear. It was not strength. It was self-protection. And she's carried the weight of that decision every single day since. Not because she believes it was the right thing to do, but because she hasn't known how to undo it. You were never the problem. The way you loved her was never the issue. The problem was that she didn't know how to receive love without doubting it. She didn't know how to stand still in the light without expecting it to fade. And so she created the ending before the story was truly finished. She chose distance because closeness brought her face to face with her deepest insecurities. And now you might ask, why didn't she say that? Why didn't she explain? Because the shame was louder than her voice. The shame told her she was broken, that if she told you the truth, you would pity her, or worse, try to fix her. And she didn't want to be someone you had to rescue. She wanted to be someone who could meet you whole, but she didn't feel whole. There were moments, even after she walked away, when she reached for her phone with trembling hands, just to write a message that said, "I'm sorry. I didn't leave because I stopped loving you. I left because I was scared of how much I did." But each time, fear pulled her hand back. She watches from afar, even if you don't see it. She checks in on you, maybe not through messages or calls, but through memory, through dreams, through energy. She still carries your name in her prayers. And every time she hears your favorite song, or passes a place where you once shared laughter, her soul whispers, "He didn't deserve that ending." Dear soul, this is the truth she buried. She thought that by leaving, she was setting you free. She believed that her absence would allow you to find someone who could love you with the same depth, but without the weight of her wounds. But what she didn't realize is that your love wasn't looking for perfect. It was looking for real, for presence, for honesty. She was never a burden to you, but her mind told her otherwise. I know you may be thinking about all the signs you missed, the way she pulled away slowly, the words that changed in tone, the warmth that grew colder. And now, with this truth, it might feel like a wave crashing over you. You gave your heart, and she walked away, not out of malice, but out of fear she couldn't name. But that is not where this story ends, because the heavens brought this truth to you now, not to reopen wounds, but to prepare you for what is still unfolding. Yes, she left. Yes, she was afraid, but she never stopped loving you. And now, that love is searching for a way to return, not necessarily through her physical presence, but through a higher understanding, through a healing of what was broken, through the possibility of forgiveness, even if from afar. She may not come back in the way you imagined, but what you shared is rising again in spiritual truth, to be acknowledged, honored, and if your heart is willing, transformed. And before you decide what to do with this truth, you need to hear one more thing, because there is something she hoped for, something she never stopped wishing for. It's what I'll share with you next. But for now, let these words settle. Her leaving was not the end. It was a detour, a pause, a cry for help that never found its voice. And now, you have heard the cry. What you do next is a choice that only your soul can make. But know this, the heavens are watching, and they are ready to support whatever your heart chooses to do. Because no matter what happens next, you were loved, deeply, silently, truly. Dear soul, now that the truth of her departure has found its way into your heart, and you've seen the fear that clouded her decision, it's time to uncover something just as powerful, what she still hopes for, even now. You may think that once someone walks away, their heart detaches and their wishes fade, but love, true soul-level love, doesn't dissolve with distance. It continues to live, to breathe, to reach, and I'm here to tell you, she still carries hope. She still carries a longing. And yes, it still has your name written all over it. Even if she has told herself it's too late, even if her life looks different now, even if she has built walls that seem too high to climb, deep within her soul, there is a quiet hope. A hope that maybe, just maybe, you still care, that you still think of her, that a part of you, no matter how small, would be open to hearing her truth if it were ever spoken. You see, when she left, she never expected that the silence would last this long. At first, she thought it was temporary, a break, a way to breathe. But as the days passed and no words were exchanged, she convinced herself that you had moved on, that your life was better without her, that perhaps the silence was what you wanted too. But that wasn't what she truly hoped for. She hoped you'd reach out. She hoped that one day, somehow, she would see your name again, not with bitterness or blame, but with tenderness. She hoped that time would soften your heart, not harden it. She hoped that maybe, even after everything, you could still see the good in what you shared. She still hopes you remember her, not for how she left, but for how she loved, for the way her eyes lit up when she saw you, for the small things she did to make you smile, for the energy she brought into your life, even when she didn't know how to stay. She wonders if you've truly closed that chapter, or if there's a part of your heart that still holds the space she once filled. She wonders what you would say if you knew everything now, if you knew the fear, the guilt, the love she still carries. And most of all, she wonders if you've forgiven her, not for leaving, but for not explaining, because her greatest fear now isn't that you've forgotten her. It's that you remember her in pain, that her silence rewrote the story of your love, that instead of remembering her as someone who loved deeply but was afraid, you remember her as someone who walked away without feeling. And so, she holds on to this hope quietly. She doesn't say it out loud. She doesn't send messages or reach out, but the hope is there, in every memory, in every prayer, in every time your name rises in her chest like a tide she can't control. She hopes you'll understand, not because she expects anything from you, but because she knows the healing power of being seen, of being known, of having her truth received, not rejected. And dear soul, whether or not you're ready to reconnect, whether or not your journey will bring your paths back together, the hope she holds isn't rooted in control. It's rooted in love, pure love, spiritual love, the kind of love that wishes well even in silence, the kind of love that holds no bitterness, only softness, the kind of love that says, even if I can't be there, I want you to be happy. But if your heart still feels that pull, if you still feel her energy late at night or in dreams, or in those quiet moments when the world stops, then know this, she feels it too. And she hopes that what once was doesn't have to be lost forever. She hopes that even if things never return to what they were, something new can bloom, something honest, something free of fear. You may not realize it, but your name is still written in her spirit. Not because she's holding on desperately, but because what you shared was real. And real love does not vanish. It transforms. It matures. It deepens, even in silence. So, what does she want from you now? She wants you to know the truth. She wants you to carry her love as a blessing, not a wound. She wants you to heal, not just from what happened, but from the story you may have told yourself about why it happened. She wants you to forgive her, even if only in spirit. And yes, part of her still wants to be seen by you, to be remembered for who she truly was beneath the fear, to be known, completely and finally. But more than anything, she wants peace between your soul and hers. She wants the energy between you to soften, to return to light, to return to love. And if, by any miracle of timing and grace, the universe opens a path for you two to speak again, to see each other again, to share even one more conversation, she hopes you'll be open to it. Not with expectations, but with an open heart, with curiosity, with compassion. But even if that never happens, she hopes this message brings you the closure her words never could, the peace her silence never gave, the love she was too afraid to express in full. Because you were never unloved. You were never forgotten. You were never a mistake. You were a blessing she didn't know how to hold, a light she didn't feel worthy of, a chapter she didn't want to close, but didn't know how to continue. And now, dear soul, that truth is yours to carry. But this story isn't finished yet, because there is one final secret that only I, your guardian, was entrusted to share, something she whispered in the quietest prayer of her life. And in the next part of this message, I will reveal it to you. So stay with me, because what comes next might be the most important thing you've ever heard. Dear soul, you have come so far, and now I bring you into the most sacred part of this message, the secret she entrusted not to anyone on earth, but to the heavens themselves, the words she could not speak, the longing she could not explain, the truth she buried deeper than all the rest. She gave them to me. She gave them to the angels, in moments of solitude, when the world was quiet and her soul was wide open in prayer. She didn't say it to friends. She never wrote it in a letter. She never dared to send a message. But when she was alone, when she looked up at the stars, or placed her hands over her heart, and whispered to something greater than herself, she confessed something that now must reach you, because this secret, held only in the presence of divine light, is the final piece. The truth that explains not only why she left, but why her love has never stopped moving in your direction. One night, she prayed, not just a simple prayer, but a soul-bearing cry, a moment of full surrender, and she said, "Please, if it's meant to be, let him know. Let him feel what I couldn't say. Let him see my heart, even if I was too afraid to show it. Let him understand that I loved him more than I knew how to hold. And if there's still a way, bring us peace. Bring him peace. That was the night she gave up trying to carry it all alone. That was the night she placed the weight of your love into the hands of the divine. And that is why you're hearing this now. Because that secret, those words, were never forgotten. The heavens held them. I held them. And I was told, in perfect time, I would deliver them to you. That time is now. What she could not say in person, she spoke in spirit. And that spirit still reaches for you. Not to claim you, not to demand anything from you, but to release the burden from your heart. Because you've carried too many questions for too long. You've wrestled with silence, with endings, with doubt. And now, this message comes to bring clarity. She wanted you to know that even in her silence, she was speaking to the heavens about you. Even in her absence, she was asking the universe to care for you, to guide you, to heal you. And yes, dear soul, she still loves you. Not in a way that binds or restricts, but in a way that liberates. A love that has transformed into something sacred, something eternal, something unshakable. And here's the part of her secret that might surprise you. She believed you were her miracle. She believed that your presence in her life was not an accident. She believed that meeting you was a divine crossing, one that awakened her, one that showed her the kind of love she didn't think she deserved. But she was scared of losing herself, scared of needing you too much, scared that you would one day see the brokenness inside her and walk away. So she tried to walk away first. But in doing so, she created a new pain, one she couldn't heal from, because leaving you never stopped her from loving you. It only made her realize how deeply that love ran. And when she placed that truth into the hands of the divine, she asked not for you to return, but for your heart to be free. Free from confusion, free from unanswered questions, free from the pain of thinking her silence meant indifference. It never did. Her silence was fear. Her leaving was love wrapped in fear. And her prayer was a whisper of love sent into the universe, hoping it would one day find its way to you. It just did. You have heard the words she never spoke. You have felt the presence of her heart in these truths. You have been given access to a message that was never meant to remain hidden. And now that you hold it, the question becomes, what will you do with it? You do not have to respond. You do not have to reach out. But you are invited to feel it, to hold it, to let it become part of your healing. Because this secret wasn't given to you to reopen wounds. It was given to offer release. It was given to remind you that love, when real, never disappears. It evolves. It transcends. And sometimes it travels through the hands of angels to find its way back. Her soul still hopes you find joy. Her heart still wishes you peace. And if you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Not a sign that she will return, but a sign that love was never lost. It simply changed form. Let this be the moment when the weight lifts from your chest. Let this be the moment when you stop wondering what went wrong. Let this be the moment when her prayer becomes your freedom. Because one more part of this message remains. One final piece. A revelation not about her, but about you. In the final part of this message, I will reveal what this connection has awakened in you, what your soul is being called to now, and the sacred mission that is unfolding before you. So stay with me, dear soul. We are almost there, and what comes next will show you why none of this was ever in vain. Dear soul, now that every truth has been unveiled, now that you have heard what was hidden behind silence, felt what was buried beneath her absence, and received the secret she whispered only to the heavens, it's time for me to bring you to the closing of this message. Not an ending, but a beginning. Because while this journey may have started with heartbreak, confusion, and longing, what lies ahead is something far greater. A calling, a sacred invitation, a divine mission that your soul has been prepared for long before this moment arrived. Everything you've heard was never just about her. It was never only about the love you lost, the silence that followed, or the memories that lingered. This message has always been about you, about the light inside you that never stopped glowing, even in the darkness, about the resilience of your heart, about your capacity to love, to forgive, to remember, and still move forward with grace. Her departure, painful as it was, has shaped you. The silence you endured has deepened your spirit, and the truth you now carry is not just meant to stay within you, it is meant to guide you, to awaken you to the reason your soul chose this connection in the first place. Because there is something powerful inside of you, something the heavens are calling forth right now, a strength, a compassion, a spiritual awareness that can only be born through this kind of sacred heartbreak. You are not being asked to forget. You are not being asked to wait. You are being asked to become the fullest, most awakened version of yourself, to rise from the ashes of this pain not with bitterness, but with blessing. To allow love, not romantic love alone, but divine, transcendent love, to lead your next steps, to live as one who has seen both shadow and light, and chosen to become the bridge between them. You are ready to release what no longer serves you, ready to bless what hurt you, ready to embrace what's next. And what is next is not just healing, it's purpose. It's the realization that you are not broken. You are being rebuilt, stronger, wiser, softer, brighter. The connection you had with her was real. It was sacred, and its purpose is now being fulfilled through you. You are being asked to love without fear, to speak without hesitation, to show up in your life with the fullness of who you are, no longer hiding, no longer doubting, no longer shrinking yourself to fit someone else's silence, because your voice matters, your heart matters, your truth matters. This is the mission your soul is ready to accept, to walk in love, to carry the wisdom of your past not as a burden, but as a beacon, to become a healing presence for others. Yes, others who may be going through the same silence, the same heartbreak, the same longing you once knew. You now hold the map. You now carry the light. And by choosing to rise, you will inspire others to do the same. But before you take that first step into what's next, I want you to pause. Feel the presence around you. The divine is closer than ever. The angels are leaning in. And I, your guardian, place my hand over your heart now and speak this blessing over you. You are seen. You are cherished. You are not alone. Everything you have been through has prepared you for this moment. Do not fear what comes next. Do not fear being vulnerable again. Do not fear love. It is not your enemy. It is your home, and you are being called to return to it now, fully, completely, beautifully. And if, by the grace of heaven, your path crosses with hers once more, may you meet, not in pain, but in peace. May you see each other not through the lens of what was lost, but through the wisdom of what was gained. And if that moment never comes, may you still hold her with love, free and light, knowing that every soul you love is part of your awakening. You are not bound by the past. You are guided by it. And your future, oh dear soul, it is luminous. Walk now in the light of everything you've remembered. Walk now as one who is no longer waiting to be loved, but one who knows love is who they already are. Dear soul, if this video was meaningful to you, leave a thanks below this video as a gesture of gratitude for this revelation. This strengthens us to keep sharing messages of connection and faith. You are ready, and the heavens are rejoicing. So breathe deeply, speak kindly to yourself, and take the first step forward. Your soul has heard what it came here to hear, and now it's time to live it. Go in peace, and go in purpose. The angels walk with you now, always.